Hey everyone, Annie Costable here, bringing you another Sun Times socially distanced sit down. This week we welcome in NBA veteran, former DePaul star, Simeon alum, Chicago basketball legend, Bobby Simmons. Bobby, thank you so much for coming.
Hey Annie, how you doing?
This is a big week for basketball fans in Chicago, obviously. We know the documentary that's dropping on Sunday. Fans everywhere are looking forward to that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I really wanted to hear from you right now because of everything that's going on top of all of, your basketball accolades. You're also a business owner. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're enduring right now during this coronavirus pandemic?
I think it was like March 13th, something like that. Once Lori Lightfoot put out the mandated stay home, society was affected from the day forward. We haven't opened. Basically, only time we have had people inside the establishment is when we go in to make sure we do a thorough cleaning and things like that. So now I was looking for companies that's actually servicing, like the CTA buses and things like that, to come and spray everything just to make sure that once we do reopen, that everyone is safe. Mm-hmm. And for success, I think it's overall, like you said, one, we still had inventory coming in. Mm-hmm. And now it's the fact that we had to shift things to make sure that the business can still be afloat once we do reopen. So now it's just a matter of showing product and probably shipping online to make things a little more accessible for people to still get product and not come outside.
Let's backtrack a little bit just for those of you those of the viewers who only know you as the basketball player. Like we said, you are a business owner and you're a very successful business owner, but start from the top of when you really transitioned from athlete to business owner and what really put you on this track of becoming a successful business owner.
Well, I think we can start with success because that was the first business that I actually opened. It was established in 2008. And at that point of my career, prior years before we opened that, I had sustained a foot injury. And a lot of people may or may not know that. But I was told that I wasn't going to be able to play the game anymore. Mm-hmm. I was still on a contract. And it was pretty tough for me. Mm-hmm. Because now one thing I had to do is sit back and think about, if I couldn't play, what would I be interested in to move forward, to actually give me something to do, something I'm really passionate about. And one, like you said, we're going to talk about a little bit later. I was a brand Jordan athlete, uh-huh. And I had an extensive collection of sneakers, limited edition, retros. So all the things that's trendy right now, mm-hmm. I actually had them and they were personalized for myself. Mm-hmm. So throughout that, I actually was sitting on the couch. Mm-hmm. The only thing I was able to do was go to therapy and come home. I wasn't able to move around as much, so I had a lot of time.
You kind of had practice for this quarantine too. You know how it goes when all
I pre-gamed already. I pre-gamed.
Bobby was ready.
Hey, so with that being said, I called my partner. Well, he called me. We collaborated on things that we wanted to change. One, in our community, mm-hmm. and two, for the city of Chicago. And that's how we created success.
If you had to say right now who you think would be the NBA champion, which team would you say, when the season ended, was looking most like they were on the road to becoming the NBA champion?
Ooh, that's a tough question. And that's a tough one. So, from my perspective, I think about, okay, well, if one guy get injured, it affects the team.
Exactly.
One guy gets sick, it affects the team.
Exactly.
So now it's like so many teams were playing so well. Teams that's in 8th, 9th was on a nice streak. Mm-hmm. So now it's hard to say if they would have played up and moved up in positioning for the playoffs. So one team, like I say, well, East, West, and Well, I would say possibly. I could say finals, probably Milwaukee Lakers.
That's the finals I think everyone was hoping for, and everyone wanted to see. And I think are still fingers crossed, praying to the gods that we somehow get to see that happen this year. You were drafted 2001 by the Supersonics, but then traded to the Washington Wizards. You spent your first 3 years on the same team as Michael Jordan. What were those years like, and what did you learn just from being in the same vicinity as a player like Michael Jordan?
First thing is that it taught me is hard work pays off. We played pickup together and everything. He would always pick me on his team. And that right there, I'm like, man, after a while, I was a little nervous at first because like playing with someone like Michael Jordan growing up, watching him win championships and things like that, you don't want to make mistakes. But for the pickup games, it's like he trusted me. Like he would, Bobby, make the shot. Come on, Bobby, make the shot. Like, you know what I mean? So that right there is nothing but a confidence booster. I've learned business. I've learned the business of basketball. I've learned early bird get the worm. Like we worked out at 6 a.m. in the morning and I'm getting up. And so like those type of things transcended throughout my career is that one, holding myself accountable, because now if he's at an age where he's coming back to play, I'm a young man. So now if this is what he does every day and he's one of the greatest, I'm gonna do that too.
What did you learn from him as far as a business standpoint? He's one of the most successful moguls in the entire world. Were you picking his brain back then from a business standpoint?
You have to be consistent. One, be on top of it. Like I've seen watch on the computer, I've watched on phone calls, taking care of business right before the game. Like things like that, because now as a rookie, I want to listen to my favorite song. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna listen to my music, get prepared. But he was a little bit different. He was able to do multiple things and still come out on top.
What do you think is going to shock viewers and fans when they see this documentary?
What do I think? I think for the most part, as I always talk about accountability, and in winning and success, I think somebody has to be the bad guy. And being the bad guy doesn't always mean you have to do bad things. I think it's more so of pulling people together. You know what I mean? Like the road is not going to be perfect, but we have a common goal in the end. And so throughout the documentary, I think it's going to be a lot of guys that had extensive careers because of who he was. I think that's what it's probably gearing toward. But I can't wait to watch it. And one thing I say is that last year, and not only that, during the 9/11 season, the fan base is unbelievable. Like, I don't know, sometimes they would cheer so long, and we supposed to start the game. Like those moments just shows appreciative of how the fans really, really love the time that he actually gave us. He'll show flashes where he'll go up there and dunk it and just tell you, hey man, don't act like y'all forgot. So, but then again, like you said, talking trash and it's just having fun, having fun. And not only that, still telling guys what he gonna do to him before he do it, and fadeaways and talk, you know what I mean? Like just good basketball. And that's the good part about it, is that I think he really enjoyed it. And I'm happy that I was a part of that.
The 9/11 season was so powerful, not only because Jordan was donating his salary, his check, but also because it really just showed how much sports brings us all together. Can you describe how you saw that firsthand, other than, obviously the ovations you described, but how did you see during that year the country unified? Because I think we're going to experience something similar when sports
comes back.
When
it come back. Most definitely. So now, even a couple steps further, we were there doing the DC Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
So now, after that, now you have 9/11. So the city of DC was like
shook.
Very shook. I was shook living there. It's like this is crazy. But the thing was, as you talk about bringing everything together, is that the basketball games was like a safe haven environment. Mm-hmm. Fans still showed up to those games, regardless of what was going on the outside. There were still die-hard fans who came to the game, didn't have to worry about anything. And I think once this opens back up and the guys have an opportunity to get back on that court, I think the fan base is going to be crazy.
You played high school basketball in a time when I would say Chicago basketball was larger than life. Like the names you could go through that you guys all played against each other is really insane. So that being said, who are some of the toughest Chicago players that you've ever played against in your high school career?
I would say a guy like a Michael Herman.
Okay.
Michael Herman, I seen him get 50 with a pair of Air Force Ones on. You think about a Sherelle Ford. You think about, it was Sco Hayes. You think about, oh my God, there's so many guys that we can name that actually were Chicago legends that people will say, you talk about basketball, they're going to be mentioned. Uh-huh. That guys who actually competed and played, but just didn't make it pro. Uh-huh. So when we had the pro summer leagues, these are the guys who actually scoring 30s and 40s and, you know what I mean, against the professionals. Mm-hmm. So those conversations about Chicago basketball are so extensive. Like, there's so many names that come up.
Bobby, I appreciate you so much for taking this time to sit and chat with me today. We appreciate you for being a guest on our Sun Time Socially Distant Sit Down. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon.